more that you can lean into your own personal discomfort, say what needs to be said in a non-offensive way, the more you make the world a better place.
All right, everyone. Welcome to this live stream coming to you on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Welcome all. Brenda has come up with a very timely topic, really complex one. The emotions that we don't talk about at holiday gatherings. I certainly have plenty of experience navigating that landscape. Perhaps you do as well. A lot of those experiences are unpleasant. I've had some successes, but I think this is a meaningful topic. And remember, on Tuesdays, our live streams are dedicated to the principle of applying what we've come to learn in crisis de-escalation to everyday circumstances. On Thursdays, our lives are dedicated to people who are working in the professional sector with responsibilities to engage in de-escalation and respond to behavioral emergencies. So this week's a big week. There's a lot of stuff going on online, which is producing, I think, a lot of anxiety about the future, the immediate future in our country. There's an extraordinary amount of content that suggests instability, and people feeling it is very widespread. And we're all going to come together in the next couple of days in celebration of the Christmas holiday to meet with family and friends. And it's not unusual for people when they come together to have wounds that may be in relationship to other people at the gathering, unresolved conflict that has to be suspended, a feeling of not wanting to be there, but I go anyway in satisfaction of some kind of expectation of another person. I might be feeling disappointed that other people are not as festive as I am. How do we break this down? How do we try to not get in our own way and optimize a gathering experience so that we can be free to some degree to be ourselves and not be caught up in the dynamics that might be a product of unresolved conflict, expectations being violated, that kind of thing? Well, let me share a couple of things that we have come to know and understand from the crisis de-escalation world that may be helpful in these settings. We've come to know that violation of an expectation or blocking a goal is a core causation to anger. If a human being that has an expectation or goal, if that is blocked by another human being, the impulsive reactive response is anger. This was demonstrated in research with monkeys using different kinds of fruit, where they got to observe what researchers were giving them, and the monkeys that were getting cucumbers became enraged at the researcher who was giving other monkeys grapes. And there was clearly no conversation going on between these monkeys. They just observed it and had an inherent sense of fairness. And they had a goal. Their goal was to get the grape also. So if we know that violation of expectations and blocking of goals creates anger, if you're going to a gathering because you feel as though an expectation has been placed upon you and you don't want to go, well, what's your expectation if you're feeling this? Your expectation may be, I would like the freedom to not go. I would like the agency to be able to say no, and somewhere I feel like I can't. Why is that? Well, because I don't want them to become angry with me. Okay. Um, is there a side of that sandwich that you bite from that there isn't a cost associated with it? If biting from the side of the sandwich costs I have to witness someone else's anger because I don't want to go, what are some ways I can think through that problem? Maybe it would be to weigh getting ahead of the problem by letting someone know honestly, or going to the thing, denying myself, and then carrying around anger and regret over not asserting what I need. The great Marshall Rosenberg gave us a way to talk about needs and gave us a reason, a series of reasons actually, that asserting your needs, if you're clear about them, is very helpful in engendering understanding to resolve conflict. Well, I don't have a history of talking about my needs. I don't have a history of describing what I need. There's something to be learned there. I can't tell you how many people I have encountered, myself included. It's been my own experience. When I don't describe how I feel or what I need, and I do something in the service of another human being, there is a cost associated with that. In fact, health psychology has been bringing into our awareness the extraordinary amount of health implications of not saying what needs to be said. When we restrain ourselves from saying what needs to be said in the service of avoiding some kind of discomfort, there is still a toll that needs to be paid, and I'm paying it. Well, what if I don't want to go to this holiday event? Tony Blauer says something pretty interesting. He says, people who walk away from a fight, even if they lose, having tried, are able to live with it much, much better than not fighting back. So when we think about the situation of not wanting to go somewhere, and I don't want to go because of whatever set of reasons, would it be wise to consider getting ahead of that problem and telling the person who's hosting the event what it is I feel and what it is I need? Maybe in that discussion, I'll learn that I don't have to not go because the problem can be resolved right now. Wouldn't that be interesting? What if in letting someone else know what I feel and what I need, they make accommodation that makes me feel more comfortable coming? I wouldn't have known that if I just chose not to go. And I wouldn't have known that if I didn't assert myself before going. I certainly wouldn't have known it if I had gone and just paid the price of doing something against my will and against what I need. So there's that for you to consider when it comes to not wanting to participate. Let's say there's wound, there's conflict with another family member that's at this thing. And I know that upon seeing them, I may have to endure comments that incite potential conflict at the event. I've been to countless of those. And in my family, especially when I was growing up, there was a lot of booze involved. So add that to the mix of the holiday gathering and the singing by the end of the night of all the old Irish songs. And it's almost fear inspiring to not want to go. What are some ways that I could potentially think through that problem? I got conflict with a family member. They're going to be at this event. I'm going to have to endure the potential of things that they say or do that incite my limbic system, that incite my nervous system. And I don't want to go through that experience. Um, what are some ways that we could potentially get ahead of that problem? Maybe reaching out to the other person before the event and saying, hey, look, there's some unresolved conflict between us. I'm not calling to solve it. I'm calling to ensure that we have peace at this event because I'd like to be able to go there and be free to be myself in a way that allows you and me to enjoy the event and suspend our conflict. I can't tell you how many marriage and family therapists utilize suspension of the fight or the conflict with rules so that people can operate in other circumstances. That is a completely reasonable proposition, having to engage a family gathering where there's going to be someone there where there's conflict. What if they wronged you? What if they wronged you and you don't want to see them because you don't want to dredge up all of that discomfort? You got two choices. You could potentially assert the need to the host and say, look, I really appreciate being invited to this event. I love our family and I love family gatherings. I'm in conflict with this other person, and being around them is going to stimulate a lot of discomfort for me that I don't think I can suspend. Is there a way that we could possibly both attend at different times? That way I could get through the event, see everybody I want to see without necessarily exposing myself to a lot of difficulty by seeing this other person. Wouldn't that be interesting? Again, the theme is trying to get upstream, ahead of the situational or reactive incident that might come from someone being careless and saying something after a drink or during a drink. The common themes here are to honor how you feel. And in the honoring of how you feel, to make your feelings and needs known. This does not come natural to a lot of people. And we're in an environment now that's become so hostile toward the proposition that feelings and needs can be articulated non-offensively. They can be articulated non-offensively. We have a method that was given to us by NVC to describe your own feelings and needs non-offensively. It's called OFNR. I talked about it before. I'll give another example here. Let's say at a family gathering, I'm going to see a cousin that owes me money. And I've watched them not only not pay me back, come into other money, choose not to pay me back, and engage in some flagrant kind of lifestyle. I actually have a family member where I've experienced this with. I might call the host and say this, the host of the gathering. Look, I noticed that so-and-so is going to be there, and I appreciate that you've invited everyone. I feel terrified that when I see them, I'm going to have to manage a lot of uncomfortable feelings associated to the conflict that I have with them. I really need to attend to my well-being and manage my stress. Would you be willing to consider compartmentalizing time at the first part of the event while they're there so that they can attend, and then perhaps you wouldn't mind letting them know that I'm going to be arriving at this time and it would be your preference that they depart so I could also attend. That way we could both be there. That's the second time I've provided that as a solution. That doesn't have to be the solution. But what's more important is that you see the method through which I'm languaging myself. I'm stating an observation. I'm letting someone know how I feel. I'm letting someone know what I need. And I'm asking them a request. Would they be willing to? Now, here's what we know about this method. Did I appraise the host for inviting them? No. Was I critical of the other human being? No. I just said I have a conflict with them. There's nothing offensive about letting someone know how I feel and how I think. and what I need. When I do that using I statements, if I start describing what I feel is, I'm pissed because that other person's an idiot, that's not letting someone know how you feel. I'm angry. I feel afraid. I feel rage. I feel insecure. I feel afraid for my own dignity. People find it hard to criticize other human beings when other human beings are using I statements. It's when the I statements become conflated with appraisals of other people or value judgments that they're no longer I statements. So doing this with some degree of accuracy is particularly helpful. It's very hard to navigate family gatherings where these kinds of things are present and nobody talks about them. And I'm not proposing that they're talked about during the event. I'm suggesting you deserve the dignity of being able to express how you feel and what you need. The suggestion that we have is before the event, think through how to articulate that in as non-offensive a way possible to the host so that problems could potentially be solved. This might also include, as I exampled, getting in touch with the other family member or friend and suspending the conflict for the event so you can both be together. The more that you can take responsibility for your own feelings and needs, and the more that you can articulate them non-offensively, just like I say in the introductory video of these lives, the more you make the world a better place. So be good to yourself and let people know how you feel and let people know what you need. There's nothing wrong with being forthcoming, because if you're not forthcoming, you're not avoiding the toll that needs to be paid in your own feelings and needs later. How many times have you not said what you needed to say only to live with regret and anger? I know I have. It's probably given me high blood pressure. Are there times where articulating your feelings and needs can go awry? Well, you're almost assured of that if in your description of your feelings and needs, you start using appraisals of other people. Keep it first person only. I feel afraid. I feel insecure. I feel, you know what? Watch this. From the great Beth Myers of Roundtable Consulting, I have stacks of feelings and needs cards, wonderful words to describe various feelings. I feel agitated, bored, grief, neglected, furious, stressed, jealous, hurt. What are some other words to describe needs? I got needs cards. I need peace, to be seen for who I am. I need equity, creativity, efficiency, the ability to express myself, boundaries, sense of community, well-being. You have endless options in describing what you feel and what you need. And when you do that only in the first person, without appraising another human being, it's almost impossible for someone to object to it, because everybody has their own individual experience. And what you're leveling is an opportunity for someone to think about you, because they're not aware of what's going on for you. And they may even make accommodation for you in a way that you didn't expect, just because you were bold enough to let them know what you felt and what you needed. So I hope this has been meaningful. I am very excited about the next couple of days, because I've gone through an extraordinary amount of this with my own family, and my own family has gone through it with me. And we're pretty adept at feelings and needs being sorted out before periods of togetherness, and the maintenance to ensure that periods of togetherness are enjoyable. I think the Tao Te Ching says every problem that is great starts small. The sooner you attend to it, the less likely it is to become significant. I wish all of you well. Thank you for this opportunity to join you on this live. Actually, I won't see you Thursday because it's Christmas Day. But we'll see you next week, next Tuesday, and live at 5. A blessed holiday to you all, for those of you who celebrate, and take good care. Be well.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
More that you can lean into your own personal discomfort, say what needs to be said in a non-offensive way, the more you make the world a better place.